And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring Dan Matson and Brian Butcher of the Home Team. What is up, homies?
Yo, how's it going?
What's going on?
It's going well. I see I forgot to introduce, what is the name of the cat?
This is Izzy. She's in the Fashion Forward video.
The star of Fashion Forward.
Oh yeah. Forget Sophia. Izzy's the goat.
Wow, bias.
We were just saying you picked a good part of that video. Dan was like, "Did you send him this clip to feature? Did you like curate this one?" And I was like, "Nope, he just picked a good part of the video."
I've gotten used to it.
Fair enough.
It's as you can tell, I've kind of upgraded quite a bit since the last time I've had you guys on the show.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats. That's awesome.
The intro looked killer.
Thank you. That is one of my favorite parts of it. I had a buddy of mine make the song for me and mix it down and all, but we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about you.
Fair enough.
I can talk about me a lot. Let's go.
Okay, so for the fans that have come in since season 2, when I first had you on, who is Dan? Who is Brian? What is the Home Team?
I'm Daniel. I play drums in the Home Team. We are a pop rock alternative. I mean,
ish band.
That's changing. You'll see when the full new record drops.
I'm Brian. I sing in said band.
We started as a pop punk band. I don't know if I'd classify us as that now. You'll see when more of the record comes out.
A transitional period of being like, you'll see it when it comes out in a little while, and you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah, Right Through Me is a pretty good indicator of like the vibe for the rest of the record.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely one of the most like hype and aggressive songs that's on there, but yeah, you'll see.
Everybody will see.
Man, I can't wait. Do we have a date yet for that or no?
We haven't announced it yet. It'll be in the fall. We're doing like 4 singles and then the full record. So there's gonna be a bunch of videos, lots of content. We've been working for the last year and a half, basically for up to this point, and still working. We literally shot another video last weekend,
like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm excited, man. I love, I went through this bit earlier in the year where some of my favorite bands were releasing stuff, and then it's just been a dry period. And then you guys came out with Right Through Me. I'm like, hell yeah, here it comes.
There's a pretty good reason for that. So when bands plan an album release, especially if it's through a label, usually the whole schedule is planned out like 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer in advance, because the back end, like the digital distribution company that the labels work with, have to plan a certain number of releases per quarter. So like, I know when we were talking with our label about when we wanted to put out the record, they kind of slotted us in between 2 other releases that were planned, because for them, they wanted to do like one big release per quarter, basically. So you saw a lot of bands put out records at like the first couple months of COVID, because that had already been planned. And then that big dry period is because every band that didn't have it planned already was like, hold this, like, I'm not releasing a record until we can tour again. So the fact that more music is coming out now is pretty indicative of the fact that people think touring is about to come back. That was our plan all along.
That's exactly what our thought process was. I mean, not to mention, I'm not saying we held off on releasing it. Like we haven't been sitting on it forever. Like we've been working this whole time. But we scheduled things differently, and we took the little bit of extra time and made the album that much better.
Yeah, we definitely could have pushed the first single at least out quicker. But kind of chose not to because we wanted to make sure that when the full record comes out, we'd be able to actually tour on it, because we saw a handful of our friends' bands drop like killer records and then couldn't tour on it, and people kind of forgot.
Yeah.
And it sucks, because like one of my favorite EPs of last year came out from some of our friends in a band called Dead Lakes. And it came out in like end of March of 2020. So it literally came out. They had to cancel the tours they had planned, and then they were just kind of stuck. I mean, definitely check out that EP from Dead Lakes.
Yeah.
Fucking slaps.
It's very, very good.
But we just wanted to make sure that didn't happen to us.
Right. And, I've been working alongside a couple PR companies, and they've been sending a lot of bands pretty steady until recently. And then they've kicked back up. But, that's the thing, is all these bands that I've been having on, they don't really have the support that they would if they were releasing it later in the year or closer to whenever touring might be a thing, which I'm seeing some concerts starting to line up in September around here. So maybe that'll stick.
Yeah, that's what it looks like out here too in Seattle. It's kind of like there's some stuff in August, seems a little early for national touring. Like, I'm sure there will be local shows by that point. But like October, November is kind of how that's kind of what I see as like real shows and like actual touring coming back.
And at least, you guys, especially with this new direction you're going in, a lot of the other bands I listen to, the worry for me is, how do you mosh post COVID? But that's not necessarily a worry for you guys, but still, like, it's going to be weird trying to hype up a concert with everybody having to distance themselves and stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of why that plays into why we haven't been trying to push the envelope on like playing shows super early. We know a couple of bands that have already played a show because they just wanted to do it as soon as possible. And we don't really have any interest in that because we don't really want to have somebody, randomly get sick at one of our shows and have that be the reason that they suffer. And I don't know, it just doesn't seem worth it yet. And to that reason that you just said, like hyping up crowds that are afraid of touching each other, like that doesn't sound fun at all.
I mean, every video clip and picture that I've seen from shows that have happened already, there's no social distancing.
Right,
like,
exactly.
People are wearing masks, but like
everybody's clumped.
Who's gonna like monitor that? Everyone's gonna get close, like, because they want to get back to some sense of normalcy. So I would rather wait a couple extra months and be like ultra sure that the people coming to our shows have had a chance to get vaccinated, and it's not as much, it's not a worry anymore. Because I would rather not even think about having to wear a mask than have it be a constant worry, especially like not only just for the shows, but like by the time that happens, we'll be traveling and touring, going to gas stations and hotels and people's houses and restaurants and stuff. So like, I would like to ideally be past all of that before we decide to go play a show and then potentially put, our fans like health at risk.
Right. Exactly. And, I forget what you called it, but you guys did do those, that pre-recorded show that you released, song by song, and you could really still, even like I commented on one of them, you can feel the energy just through the videos.
Heck yeah. No, that's what we were going for.
Yeah, we kind of decided, by the time we decided to do the live stream, or I guess the live show, I feel like people had already gotten kind of fatigued on doing band live streams,
like a whole show in one go. Right?
Yeah. So exactly. So we decided instead we recorded that back in January, at one of our local venues, El Corazon. Our old guitar player did sound for us, because he is a sound guy there. Brian mixed or like edited everything. And then we decided to like release those kind of week by week leading up to the promo for the new single.
I mean, I really enjoyed those, and I think you did it like you said. I think you did it the right way because people were getting, I was getting worn out on those live shows. I
Yeah.
mean, I have ADD, so I'm worn out on everything. I don't even watch TV anymore.
I can only imagine like 10 minutes into one of those. I'm like, I'm gonna go eat something. I'm bored.
Yeah, I bought a couple like tickets. I think I bought one of the Under Oath ones and a couple other smaller bands, and I don't even think I watched the whole thing. But like it was great. But I just watched, I kind of skipped around and then I watched like 7 or 8 of the songs I wanted to watch, and then just kind of moved on. So like if I wasn't interested in a band that I really liked, can't imagine how bored people would get of a band they kind of like.
With those, like, I didn't do many of the live shows. Like I said, I'm too ADD for that. But were they one and done? Any of them recorded, able to see it afterwards that you know of, or is it?
Yeah, usually what they would do is they do the live, and then they'd have it available and like sell tickets for like 3 or 4 days afterwards, so you could still get access to it. And then I saw some bands would they wouldn't put it up on YouTube, but they'd do like a Twitch stream of it or something, and then do like live commentary, and so you could chat with the band while they watch it, like while you watch it with them. So we just decided if we threw it on YouTube and on IGTV, then it would serve as like live videos for people to watch forever,
whenever they want.
Yeah, and for free. Like maybe if we had the new record had been out already, we would have tried to do something where we like charged for it. But since the record was like 3 years old at that point, felt kind of stale to try and like sell music, sell a live stream that for a record that had already been out.
Is it really that old already?
It's coming up on 3 years in July.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know. It's very weird.
Very weird. I think I found you guys last year, and you guys have been probably in every one of my playlists since.
Right on. Very sick. Thank you.
Yeah, and so you can imagine how me and the other fans like me are so excited for new music coming out from you guys. Yeah.
Totally. We are excited too. And it doesn't 3 years since Better Off doesn't even account for the fact that that music we sat on finished for a year and a half.
Yeah.
It was done for a year and a half before that.
I recorded the drums. So usually we do drums first. I recorded the drums for the first half of Better Off in December of 2016.
Holy shit.
Because what we did at the time, we were super DIY. I mean, let's be real, we're still DIY. But we were pitching it to labels. And so the plan was we'll record what we thought were the best 5 songs, pitch it to labels. And then if no one bites, they'll go finish the rest of the record and then move on from there. And literally I think we set the deadline of
February. Yeah, it was 2018.
Yeah, it was if we don't hear back from anyone by February of 2018, we're just going to release it ourselves. And January 29th, we got hit up by our label. Yeah. So we sat on that record for a while.
So, speaking of that record, I gotta say my favorite song from it was "Something to Hold On To."
Great choice. That is a band favorite of ours. It's a popular one, I guess. It's actually, I think it's more the people who like that song really, really like that song. And we have a couple people in our Patreon and our Discord who swear by that song. And
I almost feel like it's almost you have to be a diehard fan to know it though, because when I was just listening to Spotify and YouTube, I never heard of it until I actually bought the album.
Mm-hmm. Quick plug for anyone who's a big fan of that. We have Patreon, and we do some exclusive content and stuff on there. Brian did click what I imagine will be a link below. Brian did an acoustic version of Something to Hold On To. So that's up on it's exclusively on our Patreon. That's it.
Oh man, I've been no offense to you, to any of the bands I love. I've been holding out on Patreon just because I'm a poor, broke, basic bitch.
That's okay.
But dang it, I got to do it now. You're tempting me, Daniel. You're tempting me.
There's a backlog of content on there. But yeah, that's so interesting story about that song. That's one of the oldest songs on the record. So John and I, our guitarist, used to be in a melodic hardcore band called Open Fire back in like 2010, 2011. That was the first band that we ever played in together. And John had written that song for that band. The singer of that band was the main songwriter. And so he basically, it was kind of a dictatorship. Like he picked what he wanted and didn't want. So John wrote that song for that band, tried to give it to the singer. He turned it down. So it just sat in John's Google Drive for 5 years until we got around to it, and then reworked it. And, the Brian's vocals, like there were no vocals written on it. So it was just the instrumentals. Come 2018, when that song comes out on the record, the singer from that band hits John up and says, yo, Something to Hold On To is the best song on the record. And John was like, I tried to give it to you. You could have had it.
That's so funny. You want to hear something else funny about that being the oldest song? So the beginning of that song, like the first few vocals, are actually something that I recycled from my old band. It was a song that we never actually made fully fleshed out. It was like an old metal band, but it had enough singing. What is Izzy doing over there? She is pulling on your jacket, and I bet she's going to pull that hook down.
Izzy, stop eating plastic.
But it was like a melodic metal, like progressive metalcore, whatever. But it had singing, and so there was a bit. It's the "She Still Sings with the Way It Feels to Know." That whole section up until that I Never Got to Say How I Really Felt was from that band. So that was like 2012 when I wrote that phrase.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's old. Well, hold on. How old are I in 2012?
You would have been 18, right? You were born in
2013. It was from 2013 when I wrote that bit. And I actually had a different ending for it. And then I changed it to That I Never Got to Say How I Really Felt because it was better.
While we're going on about interesting parts of this song, I don't know if I've ever told anyone this. The intro to that song was initially me trying to rip off This Could Be Anywhere in the World Right Now by Alexis on Fire. It's just a budget version of that intro. Yeah, that's it. I'm sure someone else has made that connection before, because if you listen to the two songs, it's very similar. But that's my budget version of that song.
Yep. Anyway, we like that song.
Brand, if you will.
Oh, for sure.
But so you just released Right Through Me, and I have one big question about that video.
Mm-hmm.
What was up with the big fox cat lady?
So close.
Art guy.
It's actually a mouse. Because indicative by the ears. Really quick, before I go and tell you about that, the guy who mocked up the 3D print design for that mask originally gave it cat ears because he also thought it was supposed to be a cat. And so I was like, that looks like a cat. How can we make it look like a mouse? Because we're trying to go for a little bit of crossover from the mouse from Better Off. It's not necessarily supposed to be exactly the same, but anyway, so that will come into play over the course of the album cycle more. You'll see it as a recurring character, and I guess I can say this: the main album artwork features this character. That won't be released until partway through
August, I think.
August, I think, is when we're going to announce like the album and the name and everything, and the release date. And yes, all I can say is it will be a recurring character, and there is a metaphor behind it. I think the metaphor, John came up with it. For once, the artsy shit wasn't actually me, but I believe the metaphor for the character is all of the grief and uncertainty we feel about diving into music harder and harder every year, and still feeling well, I mean, we're not financially supporting ourselves on the music yet, so it's a lot of, you know, uncertainty and not knowing what the future holds and things like that, and it's pretty representative of that feeling.
I feel you on that. I'm loving every minute of this podcast, but it ain't
Right on.
paying the bills.
Exactly.
Fucking preach.
But speaking of misinterpretations of things, last time you guys were on the show, we were talking about Fashion Forward and how it was the most misinterpreted song you guys had. And a few months ago, I'll be damned if I didn't see a pole dance routine to that.
Yeah. Dude, we had the same reaction you did. We were like, oh, how funny is that?
I kind of like to keep it ambiguous though. Like if people ask, you know, we tell them, but I like the fact that it's kind of ambiguous because it's very representative of us as people in the band. The fact that maybe from the outside things look a little like, from the outside looking in, things look a little bit more like edgy and cool, and like there's, you know, I'm not trying to say I look cool, but you know, I can see from the outside.
He's got tattoos and bleached hair. He's got the look.
From the outside looking in, you know, like we look like a rock band or whatever. But from the inside,
we are normal dudes.
Very dorky, all of us. So the fact that it seems like it's kind of a scandalous lyric, but it is about the least scandalous thing you could possibly imagine. That's very much us.
That's us in a nutshell right there.
And I love it. I think that's what the main draw is with you guys, is your lyrics, your music. It sounds like rock stars, but you can tell you guys are just normal people.
Yeah,
dude. I mean, it's identifiable music. Whatever the people identify it as, they can identify with it because it's open to interpretation in a way.
Sure. And that's kind of art and music in general. Lots of things are very open to interpretation. I think that's a thing that's been lost a lot in the last like 10, 20 years. Things getting way more blunt, more literal. But
specifically lyrically,
yeah,
which is cool. Like, don't get me wrong, imagery is important, but at the same time, I totally agree. Like, there are some songs that I listen to that are so gung-ho about what they're about that I can't relate to, and I'm like, I don't care for this. Like, I just don't. Izzy, please get off. Like, I'm not going to write a song about Izzy crawling across my desk because nobody's going to relate to that. Well, actually, that's not true.
I mean, that could be a Midwest emo song.
That could be a Midwest emo song for sure.
I think everybody during this quarantine can relate to that.
A cat crawling across their desk. Hey.
Like, but so what was I going to say? Damn it, I hate when I do that.
That's okay. I do that shit all the time. Like mid-sentence.
It's like I had exactly what I was going to say. Then I started thinking about cats, man. Your cat looks just like my cat.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what breed your cat is?
I'm one of those guys that, you know, when they ask what breed are your cats, I'm like, a black one and an orange one.
The reason I asked is because we don't know what breed Izzy is. We just know she's a spooky black cat, and so I was like, maybe he knows.
That's exactly what I thought. I thought my cat was my first Halloween decoration. So
at the vet, we literally just mark it's like long-haired domestic.
Oh,
it means nothing.
Biscuits.
Oh, nice.
Biscuits on live TV. Please don't drool at me.
Live TV biscuits. So one thing that I don't think, and I might have asked you guys this last time, but we are mainly at the backbone of this show. We started as a nerd-based show.
Yeah.
What's the nerdiest thing about you guys?
A I'll go first because I think I might have you beat just barely.
I think you do.
I have played the PC first-person shooter Counter-Strike. I have played pretty much every iteration of that since 2002, and I play in like the online league. I still play right now. I used to play on like teams where we'd practice like 4 or 5 nights a week for like 3 or 4 hours. I used to do like LAN tournaments when I was younger. Even now, I play with like a group of buddies who are all kind of similar. Like we all used to play, and now we just get together twice a week or whatever just to mess around. But I still play in like the online league. So I actually have a match tonight at 7:30.
Wow.
Oh, and sorry to one last thing about that to show the absolute dedication. I missed the rehearsal dinner for our old guitarist Ryan's wedding because I had a playoff match. We ended up winning that match, and it brought us to the next like division in the league.
So it was worth it.
So it was worth it. I mean, I was a groomsman in his wedding. I did the rehearsal and the actual wedding and everything, but I missed like just the post-rehearsal dinner.
Did he at least understand the importance?
He, yeah. I mean, he understood it. I don't think he agreed or was like appreciated it, but it was like
He wasn't stoked, but
yeah, it's like a thing that I've been I've been practicing, like 30 hours a week, 20, 30 hours a week for this thing for like, 2 years almost.
yeah.
So yeah, okay, that's probably the nerdiest thing I got.
Did she get that at 6?
Yeah,
She does. Okay, you got time. I would say my nerdiest thing is probably the fact that I watch YouTube videos about the lore of Dark Souls, and your other classic video like gamer stuff. Like I huge Zelda fan. I play a lot of Destiny right now. Yeah, gamer shit, anime. I watch a lot of anime.
Nice.
So that's probably it.
Brian's hiding the fact that he's also in an active Destiny clan right now.
Yeah, that's normal. You got to have a clan to play Destiny. Like there's playing that game alone is so whack.
So neither of you guys play Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, anything
John
like
does.
that?
John does, yeah. So he's actually probably, I don't know, man. He might have the nerdiest thing.
I mean, John plays D&D.
D&D, Magic. What's the other? He played League for a long time.
He played League. I mean, you play like
D&D.
You played Yu-Gi-Oh.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh. So I was a Yu-Gi-Oh kid. And I recently, well, when I say recently, the last like couple years, I ended up finding out that there was a Yu-Gi-Oh app, like gaming app, called Duel Links. And I got super into it for about 9 months. And then I spent all this time building up this deck that was super meta. And they ended up, okay, so like I had like 2 weeks of using this deck. And after spending so much time building it
on tour,
I would be playing in the van and constantly. And I had about 2 weeks until they nerfed one of the cards, and I was like, all right, I can rebound. So I got a different card to replace it. They nerfed the deck again, and I was like, God damn it. Okay, we're fine. I can do it. They nerfed it a third time, and I was like, that's it. I'm fucking out. Like, I understand wanting to balance the meta, but like, I spent so long building up this deck, and then just to have it be useless. And I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing this again.
I think the worst thing I ever saw regarding your Yu-Gi-Oh playing was one time on a late night drive. Brian's partner called him, and he was sitting in the front seat explaining, like talking while he's playing Yu-Gi-Oh on the phone with her and like talking about what was going on. That was probably,
I literally was explaining my turns.
That was probably the nerdiest thing that I've seen.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably
beautiful.
I've always been like, I guess the broier part of the gaming community, because like, I mean, anybody who knows anything about Counter-Strike, that's like the premier like competitive first-person shooter. Like that's the hardest one. Pretty much everyone just agrees that. When I play, and I've played that game since literally 2002. So like I specifically remember a kid in high school once telling me that like there's no way I was ever gonna keep playing that game. I'm like, dude, why would I ever move on? Like it's the perfect game. It's everything I want. As far as card games go, the only like I collected Pokemon cards, but I never played the game. The only trading card game I ever played was MLB Showdown.
Sick.
So it was like imagine Pokemon but baseball. So you had like every different position and a 20-sided die and a strategy deck and everything. And so from like 2000, maybe like 2001 until like 2004, I would go to, we had Wizards of the Coast physical locations in the town I grew up in. And so I'd go to Wizards of the Coast and play in the league against like the employees and, other kids and like actual adults. And I won the league multiple times. Like I was feared as a 11-year-old.
MLB Showdown, baby.
And to this day, I still have my deck in my like nightstand. And the other like a couple months ago, my partner was cleaning stuff out, and she was like, "Do you want these? Are you ever going to use them?" I'm like, "We cannot get rid of it.
Don't you dare touch those cards.
I will probably never use them again, but I absolutely have to have them." And then like a week later, my buddy, who's a full-time streamer who I used to play with, hit me up and was like, dude, someone's been like putting together the decks that you can, or like the teams that you can download online. So you can like download all the stats and stuff and like print them off. So we actually were just talking about this like a couple weeks ago that we're going to get together once he's fully vaxxed and then play some like 2021 version of MLB Showdown.
Nice. That's awesome.
Nice. But so going back to the band, away from nerdom and wrapping it up kind of. I don't know how much time you guys have, but we've got all your plugs in the link below, your Patreon, YouTube channel, all that. But you guys sent me a little something, a little bonus earlier this week, and I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about it other than it's probably my favorite song that you guys have ever done.
Hell yeah, brother. I am so excited to release it.
It is, as the children say, a whole vibe. Or a banger.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Right on. I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, that's it's the next single. I mean, at this point, who gives a shit about leaking music? I think that's fine. Who's gonna stop us?
Not after since Weird Al made that song about not downloading that song. Nobody gave a fuck after that.
Yep.
But yeah, we're releasing like I said, 4 singles for this new record. It's basically every like 5 or 6 weeks that there's going to be a new single with a new video. We'll like post some like a pre-save link and some like teasers and stuff like the week leading up to each one. Basically we've got like 4 singles and then the full album in the fall.
But any last words you guys would like to say before I let the listeners hear a quick little clip of that?
Check out our new single, Right Through Me. That's out on all streaming platforms right now. We've got a music video on YouTube, a couple playthrough videos of guitar and drums. We have a brand new TikTok that we're building up. Lots of good Brian content on there.
It's literally just me.
It's pretty much just Brian. I will get some drum content up there too. And
finally, John Barron is a coward.
Yeah, check out we got new music coming out, new single. Go stream that.
And this has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels, featuring Dan Matson and Brian Butcher of the home team.
Woo! Hey.
You don't know what you've been